We meet Kion as the youngest son of Simba and Nala in the Lion Guard. But wait, didn't they have another son? Because when we read the Lion King books, 6 New Adventures, we read about Simba and Nala's firstborn son. He would be the heir and change the whole Lion King story. There are many stories going around about what has happened to him, because when we look at the Lion King movies or series, we never see another son. He was most likely attacked by Zira, but what if he survived this attack? What if he traveled a long way and ended up at the Tree of Life to find healing? But wait, Kion also went to the Tree of Life to find healing, so what if Kion meets Kopa at the Tree of Life? All the Pridelanders were working together. Now was the time they would defeat Scar's evil spirit. Simba was done with his mean uncle. He had caused enough harm. After this, there would finally be peace in the Pridelands, because Kion had sent Zira and her lions flying, so they weren't going to be a threat anymore. After everything Zira had done to Simba's family, to his son Kopa, it was finally time to live in peace again. Therefore, Simba arranged all the Pridelanders to work together, so they did, and the next day, they would attack. They all teamed up so that the Lion Guard could get past the Outlanders to get to the volcano where Scar's spirit was. But they didn't know that it was all part of Scar's plan. Because as Kion was approaching Scar, he was attacked. Scar had set up a trap, a venomous snake named Ushari. Ushari bit him in the eye, leaving him with venom and a scar. Scar was happy that he looked like him, thinking it would turn Kion evil. Kion got angry, but just when he was about to use the roar of the elders to blast Scar away, like Janja told him, he remembered the words of Mufasa. Because Mufasa had told him that you can't fight fire with fire. He then knew exactly what to do. He called on the great lions of the past for their judgment and asked them to forgive Scar. And with that, Kion was able to defeat Scar. But it wasn't over, because Ushari tried to attack Kion again. Bunga jumped in just in time, but he jumped a little too hard and fell into the volcano. Ono saw it coming and saved his friend just in time, but from all the smoke he had damaged his own eyes. And Ono wasn't the only one who was in pain, because Kion's Scar also started to feel very strange. Therefore, they went to Rafiki. Rafiki knew what he had to do, only he wasn't the one who had the cure, and Kion definitely needed one, because if the venom of Ushari would stay in his body for too long, he wouldn't see the difference between wrong and right anymore. He needed to go to the Tree of Life, and they might be able to help Ono as well, Rafiki said. There was finally peace in the Pridelands, therefore, the Lion Guard decided to join Kion on his journey to the Tree of Life. Rafiki showed them the map to the Tree of Life, and told his apprentice, Makini, to go with them, since she had already been there once. But there was something Kion never expected to find at the Tree of Life. When they finally arrived at the Tree of Life after a really long journey, they were almost not allowed to go in because of a stupid mistake of Bunga. they had caused a massive rock slide. But then a group of strange lions appeared. 4 of them are darker than Kion, but one looked just like him. That lion looked at him with a weird face, like he knew him or something. But the rest of this group thought they were there to cause harm, so they attacked. Kion couldn't control himself and accidentally used the roar on one of the lions. Rani, leader of this group of lions, who called themselves the Night Pride. They didn't trust Kion and his guard anymore and told them they would never be allowed into the Tree of Life. Inside, the lion that looked like Kion walks up to Rani. "What's up, Kopa?" she asked. "I think you made a mistake, Rani. There is something up about this group. Something feels familiar to me," Kopa said. Rani is surprised. Kopa seemed really sure about this. He told her about his home, a place called the Pridelands. "In the Pridelands, there are bright-skinned lions just like him," he said to her. "There we have a group very similar to the Night Pride. They are called the Lion Guard, and they also have a leader with a powerful roar." He told her that the lion they just saw cannot be all that bad because he saw the mark like the mark of the Lion Guard on him. Kopa tells Rani to give them another chance before sending them away. "I know it sounds strange because a Lion Guard is supposed to be only lions and would stay to protect the Pridelands, but I'm telling you, something is up with them." Rani decides to go ask her grandmother, Queen Jana, what she should do. But when she tells her what happened, Queen Jana tells her that Kion is an important guest, and Kopa was right. She tells her to welcome Kion and his friends to the Tree of Life. When the Night Pride returns to the entrance, the Lion Guard has cleared all the rocks from the path. When Rani arrives, Kion apologizes for using the roar and explains that they have come a long way. He asks her to only allow Ono so that he could get his sight cured. Kopa looks at Rani, showing her he was right and that Kion indeed had a good heart. Rani agrees and tells him that all of them are welcome to the Tree of Life. They went on to meet Queen Jana, and Kopa was very excited. But first, Queen Jana and Nirmala look at Ono and Kion to see what they could do for them. Ono's medicine would only take a few days, but Kion needed some more time to be healed, and would have to start his training right away. Kopa approaches Kion, asking if he could talk with him first. Kion walks with Kopa, not sure what he wants from him. "I am Kopa, by the way," he said. "So you are from the Pridelands?" he asked. "Yeah. Have you been there?" Kion asks. But then, when Kopa said he was actually born there, Kion was even more confused. "But why are you living here then?" "Well, it's a long story, but I always hoped to meet some Pridelanders again." Kopa told Kion everything, how the mother of his best friend attacked him and that he was too scared to return. He was almost dead, and the Tree of Life helped him to get healed. "But what was the name of your friend?" Kion asked. "Because my father, Simba, king of the Pridelands, knows every animal, so I might have seen her too then. Kopa looked at him with big shock. Did you just say that Simba is your father? So that means that Nala is your mother? Yes, how did you know? Kion asked. I think you're my younger brother. Simba and Nala are my parents as well, and the lioness that attacked me was Zira, mother of Vitani. Kion was in complete shock. Why would his father never tell him this? I think Simba never told you about me because he didn't want to scare you, and everyone probably thinks that I am dead, Kopa said. You should go back with us to the Pride Lands, Kion said. He told them about their big sister, Kiara, what had happened during the fight with Scar, and how he had sent Zira and her lionesses flying. With Zira out of the way, there was nothing to be afraid of for Kopa. They had a lot to catch up on, but Kion first needed to start his training with Nirmala. They had a long way to go, with many tasks ahead. Anytime Kion would have a spare minute from his training, Kopa would come to him to ask about his family. But Kion also found Rani very interesting. He was having a great time, and it felt like he really belonged. In the meantime, Kion was also learning more about his roar. Because next to the Tree of Life at Chika Escarpment, the spirit of Askari lived on. Askari was the leader of the first Lion Guard and had discovered the roar of the elders. He realized Kion was ready to know everything about the roar, and showed him everything it could do. Kion was finally feeling better again, and he was done with his training. This made him kind of sad, because it meant he could go back to the Pride Lands. Kopa and Rani tried to convince him to stay a little longer, since Kopa wanted to know more about the Pride Lands, and he had a lot to teach his little brother about strength and being a leader. Because when Kopa still lived in the Pride Lands, he always went out hunting with his mother. She taught him to be quiet and sneak up on your prey. They weren't allowed to hurt any animals at the Tree of Life, but the fierce Kion still learned a lot from his long-lost brother. Just as the Lion Guard was discussing if they would stay just a little longer, they got some unexpected visitors. A cheetah the Lion Guard had met on their way, Azad, had guided two outlanders to the Tree of Life, Jasiri and Janja. Bunga was about to attack since he forgot Janja was on the good side now. They traveled all the way to the Tree of Life to warn the Lion Guard about Zira. What did that evil lion do now? Kopa asked. Who are you, and how do you know Zira? Jasiri asked. It's a long story, Kopa responded. I will explain everything later, because if Zira is causing trouble, you guys might need to hurry, Kopa said. Jasiri then explained how Zira and her group of lions were attacking the Pride Lands again, since Zira still wanted revenge for what had happened to Scar. Kion understood they had to get back to the Pride Lands as soon as they could, since it was still their duty to protect it. Wait, you are friends with hyenas? Kopa asked. There sure has been a lot of change in the Pride Lands then. Yes, turns out nice hyenas do exist, and there are many other things in the Pride Lands that I need to show you. Come on, Kopa, come with us. We could use another strong lion, and I bet Mom and Dad would love to know you are still alive, Kion said. But Kion, I can't face Zira. After everything she has done to me, I know I will break down once I see her. I am not strong enough, Kopa said. Well, of course you can. Zira is an old, dumb, grumpy lion. Look at you. If you can't beat a grandma, you shouldn't even be in the Night Pride, Bunga said. Well, you've got a point there. It is time to show Zira how strong I really am, Kopa said, and joined the Pridelanders. Kion said his goodbyes to Rani and the rest of the Night Pride, and they were all ready for their journey back. But luckily, they had Azad as a guide, because he knew a faster way to get to the Pride Lands. It was a good thing Kion had mastered the roar, because some of Azad's ways were only for cheetahs. With his roar, he could create paths everyone could walk on. It was a whole lot faster, and they soon reached the Outlands. There's an army of Outlanders waiting for them, ready to help them fight Zira's army. But as they are talking, they see some strange lions on the top of the canyon. Before they knew it, they were under attack. But as the leader jumped on Kion, Kopa recognized her face. Vitani? Is that you? How do you know my name, and who are you? Vitani angrily asked him. But Kion only saw danger, and before Kopa could respond, he demanded everyone to get behind him. But just as he was about to roar, Kiara and Kovu appear above the canyon and tell them this is a mistake, and they were on the good side. I knew it had to be a mistake, Kopa said, and just then, Vitani realized it was her long-lost friend. Kopa, is that really you? But how? I thought you were dead. It's a long story, Vitani, but I'm really glad to see you again. Kiara interrupts them and asks them all to come to Pride Rock so she can explain everything that has happened. Is Zira there? Kopa asked. Kovu then tells them that she has completed her journey in the circle of life. Well, Kiara, I think we have a lot to tell you too, Kion said. Meet your big brother, Kopa. Kiara was confused. She had never heard of an older brother, so how was this true? Kopa said, well, it seems we have a lot to talk about, but can we first get to Pride Rock? I'd really like to see my parents again. So they all went to Pride Rock. So, who is all the company you've brought, Kion? Nala asked. Kion explains they have met Azad on their way to the Tree of Life, and before he could say another word, Simba surprisingly says, Kopa, is that you? But how? And when Nala looks at him, she starts crying, and they both hug him. They thought he was dead. Zira had told them she killed him. So it's true, you really are my brother, Kiara says in shock. Vitani was even more confused. She knew her mom was evil, but kill her best friend? Kopa then starts to explain everything that happened to him. He went out as usual to play with Vitani and Nuka, but when he arrived at their lair, only Zira was there. She had tricked him and beaten him up. Then she left him at the border of the Pride Lands. Just then, he stopped, and tears filled his eyes as he looked in Vitani's direction. He tells them how Nuka came and found him there, but when he told Nuka what his mother had done, Nuka didn't believe him and turned on him. Nuka started blaming Simba for everything they had been through. Kopa realized that Nuka was not going to help him, so he summoned all his strength and left. He was too afraid to ever return to the Pride Lands after all the horrible things Zira had done and said to him. Because if Zira found out that he was still alive, she would have come back to find him in the Pride Lands and killed him. And then, since Nuka had turned on him, he was not sure how Vitani would react if he told her what Zira had done to him. Out of panic, he was too scared to look back and kept on going. And then came across Azad, who had helped him find his way to the Tree of Life. Since he travels a lot, Queen Jana accepted Kopa with open arms, and in return, Kopa helped the Night Bride to protect the Tree of Life. Simba and Nala were in shock, but it was Vitani who spoke first. She told Kopa that she was sorry for what had happened to him. She didn't know what her mother did, and Nuka never told her he found Kopa. She asked if he would forgive her, but Kopa hugged her and told her that he was never angry with her. He was just scared because he didn't know who to trust. Simba asked him what his plan is now that he is back. He would love for him to stay. He tells Kopa that as the first child, he has the first right to Pride Rock. But Kopa immediately declines. He tells Simba that he has been away from the Pride Lands for too long to just come back and become the future king. He had always been too scared to come back, so he didn't deserve to be a king at all. It would only be fair if Kiara would become queen, because she knows the Pride Lands way better than him. Looking at Vitani, he says he has a lot of catching up to do. Vitani then offers him to join her Lion Guard, if he was going to stay here for a little while. "What do you mean, your Lion Guard?" Kion asks. That's when Kiara explains what had happened in the Pride Lands while he was away. Zira was still angry about what had happened to Scar, so she wanted to take back what in her eyes belonged to him. But when she was about to attack Simba, Kiara and Kovu jumped between them just in time. She reminded Simba that they were all the same, and that this had to stop. Simba listened, and so did Zira's lionesses. But Zira was full of hate and refused to find peace. She tried to attack again, and eventually, her hatred got her killed. All the lionesses from Zira's group then joined Simba's pride, and since Vitani was sister of the future king, she was given the duty to protect the Pride Lands, since the real Lion Guard wasn't there. "Well, that is nice of you, Vitani, but we still have the Mark of the Guard," Kion said. So they decided to do a contest of who had the best Lion Guard. It was at that moment that Vitani said she doesn't need the roar to lead, when Kion realized she was the best and fiercest leader. He passed on the roar to Vitani and made her group the new Lion Guard. Vitani said she would only take her new role if Kopa would join her. Kopa was overjoyed and responded that it was the least he could do for the Pride Lands. But just as Kion passed on the roar, Askari appeared. He was proud of Kion for passing on the roar, but he knew there was another place that needed it. So he also gave Kion the roar so that he could use it at the Tree of Life and help the Night Pride. Kion was also happy to go back because he had missed Ronnie very much. The rest of his guard had also found something at the Tree of Life and was ready for their new adventure. Kion said his goodbyes and had a talk with Kopa before he left. They would see each other again soon, since Kion was going to be king at the Tree of Life. But he wanted to wish Kopa the best of luck in the Pride Lands, and asked him to look out for their sister since she was really nervous about becoming queen. And then Kion and his guard set off to the Tree of Life. The rest of the Pridelanders were walking behind, so Kopa had all the time he needed to catch up with his family and Vitani. He hadn't gotten a moment to ask what had happened to Nuka, because he had really liked to see him again as well. Vitani explained to him that Nuka had died during one of their mother's attacks. Her only goal was to take revenge on Simba and make Scar's wishes come true. Since Kovu had joined their family, she only had eyes for him. Life wasn't good in the Outlands, but everything has finally gotten better. They had a lot to talk about, and they soon realized they could be more than friends. Happily and slowly falling in love, they walked with the rest of the Pridelanders, realizing they were going to make a great team when they would come back, and that they would be the best protectors the Pridelands had ever known. Their love story had just begun, but they knew they had a bright future ahead of them.